Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Angel and today I'm going to be sharing some brand new fall DIYs with you. I know it is a little bit early for fall decor, but I wanted to go ahead and get some of these out there for you because I know Dollar Tree is starting to put out their fall and Halloween decorations and craft supplies right now, and these are some that you can go ahead and get started on right now. Before we get started though, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. For this first project, I'm going to be using two of these little house frames from Dollar Tree. Now you can use any frames you want, I just thought these would be cute for this project. I'll also be using some of this burlap. I picked this up at Walmart, but you can use any burlap or background that you want to use for these. Now to start these, I went ahead and I drew out a fall leaf and also a pumpkin that I'm going to use for these. Now you can draw your own or print them out, it doesn't matter. But I'm just going to take my glass from my frames, put those over that, and then I'm going to take this glass marker I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to trace those out onto the glass. Then while I'm letting those dry over to the side, I'm going to go ahead and cut down my burlap, and I'm just using the backing from the picture frame to cut those down to size. Then I'm just going to use a light layer of Mod Podge to attach my burlap to the backings of the frames. Once my glass was all dry, I'm just going to flip those over so that the painted side is facing the burlap, and I'm just going to put my frame back together. If you have any excess burlap sticking out of the frame, you can just go ahead and trim that down. And here is how they turned out. For my next project, I'm just going to be using one of these little wood boxes from Dollar Tree. I believe that's the smallest size, and then also I'm going to be using 4 of these wood house frames. I'll also be using some of these pumpkin and sunflower napkins that I got from Dollar Tree last year, but you can of course use any napkins or prints that you want to use for this project. The first thing I went ahead and did was take off that little metal piece from the box, and then I'm just going to give everything one very light coat of my Waverly chalk paint because I didn't mind if some of that wood was kind of showing through. Once everything was dry, I'm just going to use the glass from those frames and I'm going to put it over my napkins to kind of see where I want to cut those out. I was able to get 2 out of each piece of napkin. I went ahead and I just did 1 piece for a frame, and then I did that top piece of the napkin for another frame, just so that there would be a little bit of difference in each frame. And once I had everything cut out, I just went ahead and added those back to the little frames with just the glass and the pictures from the napkins. And finally, for this project, I just used some of Dollar Tree's wood glue to glue those frames to the little box. Now you'll be able to see that the front and the back piece are glued directly to the box, but the box was a little bit smaller than these frames. So the last 2 house frames are just wood glued to the ones that are glued to the box, if that makes sense. Now you could use this as a planter box, just add in some plants or florals, or you could add in some of Dollar Tree's tea lights and make this a candle holder. And for the final projects, I'm going to show you two options of how to make either a no-sew pumpkin or a kind of sew pumpkin. I'm just going to be using some Dollar Tree fabric, this old sweater that I had, and you'll need some of these rubber bands from Dollar Tree as well. And for the stuffing, I'll be using some Dollar Tree cotton balls, but I'll also just be using some plastic bags. So if you don't have any other kind of stuffing, these plastic grocery bags work just great. The first option we're going to be doing is a no-sew pumpkin. So you're just going to unroll your fabric from Dollar Tree and cut that in half. Now, if you want a bigger one, you can just leave it full size. And you can see I'm stuffing this with some grocery bags. Just make sure you get all the air out, and then you're going to make a little tiny hole in the center where you're going to place a piece of toilet paper roll or paper towel roll. Once you have that placed down in the middle, just kind of grab up all of your excess fabric and pull it to the top. Once you've gathered everything to the top, you're just going to take one of those Dollar Tree rubber bands and wrap it around the fabric. Then you can just push all of that fabric down into that toilet paper, paper towel roll that you stuffed inside. Now you're just going to want to go ahead and try to shape this a little bit. You can push down that cardboard inside as you see me doing here to make this more circular, and then that's also going to help hold the fabric down in there. Now I want to give this pumpkin some more definition and make those grooves, so I'm just using some Dollar Tree yarn. I'm going to flip that pumpkin over and I'm going to start tying really tight knots. I'm going to start in the center and tie my first knot, and you just want to make sure that you're leaving a small tail at the end, because as you're wrapping this in different directions, you're going to use that little tail to tie your knots. And here is what it looked like when I was all finished. Now you can go ahead and shape that a little bit and then just trim off that excess. For my stems, I'll be using some of these wood pieces that I got from Dollar Tree. Now you could just use a stick or anything else that you have, but I just popped this right into the center in between all those pieces of yarn, and it held just fine. It didn't even need any hot glue. Now for my second pumpkin, I'll be using this old sweater that I had, and I'm just gonna cut a piece from the sleeve, and then I'm gonna turn that inside out. Now this option is kind of a sew option, so I'll be using this crochet needle. I got this at Walmart. I think it was a pack of 3 for like $4. And again, I'm going to be using some of that Dollar Tree yarn. Just going to go ahead and thread that through and then tie a couple knots at the end. Now I say this is kind of a sew option because this is super easy. All you're going to do is start threading your needle through the front, then through the back, and through the front again, and you just keep doing that all the way around. And once you get back to the beginning, you're just going to pull that yarn really tight, and this is what it will look like. Then to finish it off, all you need to do is just tie a few knots. Then I'm just going to flip that right side out, and we're going to start stuffing this to make our pumpkin. Now for this one, I am using some cotton balls, but you can see here I do go ahead and shred those apart just to kind of make them more fluffy. Once I had enough, I'm just going to go ahead and stuff the pumpkin. Now once again, just like we did the bottom, we're going to do the same exact thing to the top with the yarn and the crochet needle. The only difference with the top is you're going to start right above where your stuffing is, and you're going to start from the inside instead of the outside. Then you're just going to go ahead and weave in and out there at the top of your pumpkin. Once you're finished, you'll go ahead and you're going to pull that really tight. You're going to reach down in there and grab that end cord and tie a few knots. Then all you have to do is just trim off all that excess sweater material at the top, and you want to make it as short as possible. Don't worry though if you still have a little bump, because we are again going to be taking some of that yarn and wrapping it around this pumpkin as well to make those little pleats. So again, you'll want to do exactly what we did with the first pumpkin and start tying that yarn really tight around the pumpkin in different directions. And once you're finished, you can just add a stem. For this one, I did end up hot gluing my stem to the top. And here's how they turned out. I also ended up making a larger one, as you can see, and I absolutely love how they turned out. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.